Hi, my name is Miss Christine. Happy Thanksgiving. I am so excited to tell you about some living Native American artists. Let's get started. All right, let's take a look at living Native American artists. It's super important to remember that Native American people are alive today and they make art. Just like any cultural group, any ethnic group, they make art. One of my favorite Native American artists is Jeremy Dennis. He's from the Shinnecock tribe on Long Island, New York, and he makes fine art photography. Now, Jeremy does scenes, really powerful scenes in his work that comment upon the fear of Indigenous people, especially Indigenous men. And this fear stems from white colonizers. Here is another photo from his Rise project. Let me just read what this project is all about. We have some vocabulary words. Rise project delves into the lingering fear of Indigenous people in the United States, a fear rooted in historical atrocities such as the Pequot Massacre and King Philip's War. These events are not mere footnotes in history, but pivotal moments that underscore the cruelty enacted on Indigenous peoples, including the theft of land, forcing Indigenous people into slavery, and the massacre of women and children. Here we have another scene, and we have Indigenous men sort of in zombie-like positions. We have the white woman in the foreground with her rifle defending her territory is probably how she'd see it. And if you look closely, you'll notice that there is lighting in this scene, even though it's outdoors. And this gives the photo a real cinematic feel, like a movie. Here's another one from the Rise Project. This is my favorite. So you might be familiar with Westerns, spaghetti Westerns, old movies about cowboys and quote Indians. Here we have a white woman in her chair at home watching one of these Westerns, and we have an Indigenous man in her living space looking at her. But notice we don't see his face. His face is turned away from us. He's in profile, but his hair really is covering his whole face. So there's sort of an anonymous vibe here. We don't know who exactly this guy is. He's just a stand-in for an Indigenous man. Meanwhile, the white woman looks zoned out, dazed, maybe even falling asleep. It's like she is just flooded with these pictures of Indigenous men in these cowboy and Indian movies, and she doesn't even really question what she's seeing. And that's kind of the point, that this fear comes from these pictures in movies and magazines and the internet, even today. And they're not rooted in anything real. It's just about imagination. This fear comes from an imaginary place. Another favorite is Wendy Red Star, who is from the Apsaluk or Crow tribe in Montana, and she works in mixed media. Here's a really horsey piece, very colorful, vibrant. I'm a huge fan of how the horses are abstracted and also celebrated. There are just so many of them, and they're doing all kinds of things, leaping, prancing, standing still. They come in different colors. I especially like the royal blue one and the turquoise and teal ones. A big fan of that body of colors, a whole color family, should I say. And the marbling, that pattern that you see around each horse is also just very eye-catching and fun. Ooh, perfect! Just in time for Thanksgiving. Let me read Wendy Red Star's description for The Last Thanks. Some more vocab words here, so pay attention. Use some context clues. The last thanks, Wendy Red Star appears at the center of a long table, spread with a Thanksgiving meal of oatmeal cream pies, bologna, canned green beans, Kraft singles, Wonder Bread, and natural American spirit cigarettes. Flanking the artist are cartoonish plastic skeletons, all wearing feathered headdresses that mark them as stereotypically Native American. Red Star herself wears an elk-tooth dress and gazes gloomily at a feathered fan held in her left hand. The title and composition of the image immediately recall Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, transforming the American holiday of Thanksgiving into a Native American last meal. In this way, the large-scale photographic print employs comic pastiche in service of an urgent commentary about the dispossession and genocide of Native peoples in the United States. So even before you heard or read that statement, you probably thought there was something funny going on because we have these skeletons, we have the big balloon turkey, and Wendy Red Star really is making fun of Thanksgiving. Maybe you made one of those Native American style, I should say, Native American style headdresses out of construction paper when you were in kindergarten or first grade. It's really common for American students to do that in public school. But it's not exactly representative of what Native Americans actually wear. It looks pretty different than what Wendy Red Star is wearing, for instance. And also, we have all these mass-produced American foods, grocery store and dollar store kind of foods on the table. These are not things that traditionally Native American folks ate, but through colonization, through capitalism, we have things like the oatmeal cream pies. Here's another Wendy Red Star image. This is a self-portrait with her daughter. All the zigzags are digital art elements. Here we have archival pictures. That means pictures that are kept in a special collection of old papers, old documents like letters and maps, and also photographs. And Wendy Red Star went in and she wrote her comments about different parts of these pictures because she feels like there's not enough context for so much that's going on in these photos. And she's done a bunch of them. There's a whole series of hers in her body of work. All right, moving on to Kay Walkingstick, who's Cherokee and from Syracuse, New York, enrolled in the Cherokee tribe in Oklahoma. She's a painter. Kay Walkingstick's landscape paintings often feature muted colors and Cherokee symbols. I love how this one's so pastel. It's very calming, very soothing. This one's a little bit more vibrant with the blue, but it's still pretty muted. It's not super bright. Another fabulous living Native American artist is John Quick to See Smith, who belongs to the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Nation in Montana, and another painter. Very vibrant. Such a contrast to what we just saw from Kay Walkingstick, right? Really bright colors, very abstracted. It's not realistic. This is the kind of imagery that lives in somebody's head. I'm just such a big fan of the shapes. You'll also find writing in her paintings. Here it says, "The air is precious, for all things share the same breath, the animals, the plants, and the humans." This is pretty similar to the first one, but the colors aren't as bright. Still, there's a lot going on, and the pieces feel very textural. You almost want to touch them, even though you shouldn't. Works on paper are not generally meant to be touched. An artist will let you know if you're allowed to touch. All right, that was super quick. Where can I see more? Where can you see more? Just start Googling and you can find work from all kinds of living Native American artists. Here are some websites that have pretty good images. There is the National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C. There's the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts in Canada. They also have everything fully translated into French, if you read French and want that. There's the Heard Museum, there's the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture, and the Wheelwright Museum of the American Indian. Now I'm going to cut to a video about Mayan artisans because I was fortunate enough to go to Guatemala and get a private weaving lesson with a living Mayan artisan named Estela, and I also met her co-worker Claudia at a museum near Antigua, Guatemala. And this was such an affirming and beautiful and fun experience. For me, it was really important to get in touch with my roots. My mom has Mayan ancestry, and I wanted to learn more about what Mayans are doing today as artists, as makers, as people who create parts of living culture that we can still enjoy and, in this case, with textiles, use in our everyday lives. So let's take a look. Ok, estoy aquí con Estela, ¿no?
Sí, entonces si gusta se sienta.
Ok, gracias.
De nada. Entonces esto acá va a ir prácticamente. Este es el cincho que va a ir atado acá a su cintura.
Ok.
Para poder hacer presión en lo que es el telar acá, enrollamos.
Es de unas 5 semanas para trabajarlo.
Wow.
Ajá.
Para esta
Todo.
pieza.
Ajá, para
Wow.
esta pieza, sí.
¿Y esa es para la pared, una mesa?
Sí,
¿qué?
para la mesa o para el gusto de la persona. Ajá. Sí.
Hoy nos fuimos a donde le dije porque necesitaban un montón de papeles, usted. Ya nos fuimos, entonces hasta mañana vamos a ir. Ahorita voy a sacarle copia a mi mamá de sus documentos.
All right, thank you so much for watching. I'm Miss Christine. Until next time.